Let's look at question 10. So we want to do some converting between, in this case, a percentage to a fraction. So we know 5%, that percentage sign means divided by 100. So in this case, we want to do it as 5 over 100. Now we've been asked to simplify that, so I need to think, right, 5 is the same as 1 times 5, and 100 is the same as 20 times 5. So now I can cancel out the multiplying by 5 on the top and bottom, and I'm left with 1 over 20 as my answer. What about this one? Increase $145 by 26%. Okay, so I'm going to have to deal with an increase, but before that I'm just going to find out how much is 26% of 145. So I'm going to say 145 times, now that 26% I can write as 26 over 100. So what I need to do now is I need to do 145 times 26. So 6 times 5 is 30, 6 times 4 is 24, plus 3 is 27, 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. Now I'm going to multiply by the 2, so put a 0 in that placeholder. 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1, 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9, and 2 times 1 is 2. Add that up. 8 and 7 is 17, gives me that. And so that is going to be 3,770 divided by 100. So when I'm dividing by 100, the 3,770, the decimal point would come after it normally. I need to move that decimal over 2 places. So that's going to become 37.70. So that tells me that 26% of 145 is $37.70. Now I need to deal with the increase part. So originally it was $145. Now it's going to increase, so it's going to get bigger by $37.70. So that will give me a new price of $182.70. Now this one's talking about calculating 4/5 of 620. So the word of in maths means times. So I'm going to do 4 over 5 times 620. So I can do this in 2 ways. I can either do the 4 times the 620 first and then divide by the 5, or I can divide by the 5 and then multiply by 4. So the order doesn't matter for those two. So I'm actually going to do the division. So I'm going to do 5 divided by 620. So 5s into 6 is 1 with a remainder of 1. 5s into 12 is 2 with a remainder of 2. And 5s into 20 is 4. So this becomes the same as 4 times, and this 620 over 5 becomes 124. So now I can do 124 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 2 is 8, and 1 is 9, and 4 times 1 is 4. So that's going to be 496, and that is in kilos. So 4/5 of 620 kilos is 496 kilos. Let's look at D here. So convert 3 over 20 into a percentage. Now one of the nicest ways to do this, I can do it long division, but in this particular case, can I find what the equivalent fraction is with the denominator of 100? So if I multiply 20 by 5, that would give me 100 on the denominator, and then I also need to multiply the numerator, so that would give me 15 over 100. Now that I know that's over 100, think about in terms of our decimal places. For example, dividing by 100, it's in our hundredths column, so that would give me 0.15, as a decimal, and now to turn that into a percentage, I'm going to take that decimal and move that over 2 places, so that would become 15%. Here's another interesting one. Convert 82.5% to a fraction. So that would be 82.5. Now the percent means divide by 100. Now I can't leave it as that because I can't have a decimal and a fraction together. I've got to change this. So what I need to do is I need to get rid of that 0.5. And I know if I multiply that by 2, that will change it into a whole number. So I'm also going to multiply the denominator by 2, because what I do to one, I've got to do to the other. So 82.5 times 2 will give me 165, and 100 times 2 will give me 200. So now I need to simplify this. So let's think about what we can do. Well, I know 165. I could divide that by 5, and I could divide the 200 by 5, and that will it'll work out. So 165 divided by 5, so 5's into 16 is 3 with 1 remainder, and 5's into 15 is 3. So that's going to give me 33 on the top, and 200 divided into 5's, 5's into 20 is 4, and 5's into 0 is 0. So that's going to be 33 divided by 40. And I can't simplify that any further, so that's all done. Okay, let's find 2.5% of 536. So of meaning times. So I'm going to take 536 and multiply that by 2.5%. Now that 2.5%, I can write that as 2.5 over 100. So what I need to do now is I need to do that division. So 536 times 2.5. So 5 times 6 is 30, 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 is 18, and 5 5s are 25, plus 1 is 26. Now I'm going to multiply by the 2, so put a placeholder 0. 2 times 6 is 12, carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, and 2 times 5 is 10. Add that up, 0, 1, so 7 and 7 is 14, and 3 and 1. Now I just need to think, where does the decimal go? So in the original number I've got 1 value before the decimal, so I need to bring in that decimal in by 1 point. So that means 536 times 2.5 is 1,340, and then I've still got my divided by 100. So when I'm dividing by 100, I take that number 1,340, and that's where the decimal point would be at the end. And because I'm dividing by 100, I move the decimal over 2 places, so that becomes 13.4. In part G, converting 0.4 to a percentage. So I'm going to write down 0.4. Now to turn it into a percentage, I need to multiply it by 100. So that means taking the decimal 0.4, and I'm going to move that decimal place over 2 spaces. So it's going to move to here, and then I put a placeholder 0 in, and that becomes 40%.